Okay, after drawing your plane, as we said, the x-axis carries the total length and the z-axis has the total width, whereas the y-axis has our total length. And as given here, the total length is 126. Therefore, we are going to use our ruler to measure 126. 126 can be measured like this, which is 12.6 millimeter. And the width given here is 78, as you can see it from the top view. So we are going to now measure 78 from our z-axis, which is the width, 78. And then after this, we'll go on to the height, which is the z-axis. The z-axis is 90 millimeter. Sorry, the y-axis is 90 millimeter, which is our total height, as you can see it here. So the height will now measure 90 millimeter upward. 90 millimeter. So after doing this, in a simpler way to, in any isometric, we have to have the plane, the base, usually right angle, that is the how we view the top view is going to be our base. And the easiest way to do so, we measure this length here. We have two methods, but I think this is the easiest one to use. And then you, after measuring this length, you come across the length here, you make an arc, light one, and then you measure this length across the x-axis, and then you come here also, here at center, you cut an arc. You see that where it crosses, you will now join the points. Joining the points, you are going to have a parallel line which is parallel to the length across the x-axis. And then when we join these two also, which is going to be our width, it's going to be parallel with that of the z-axis. So now we already have our plane where our drawing is going to lie on. So the next thing now is to draw vertical line parallel to the y-axis, which will go up, where we can take all our total height. So now we can use this our set square to measure a vertical line going upward. Since our line is 90 degrees, we'll measure this. Just take it up, even if it's go outside the paper, there is no problem. Now we'll also do for this and also for this. In the drawing given, we find out that the height is 90, therefore, and this is our 90. We are going to measure 90 across all vertical lines across on the y-axis, which is the height. So now here is the 90, as I've already measured earlier. Then here at center, I cut an arc. Here is going to be 90. Here also 90, and here also is 90. So now the next thing to do is to join those points. When I join those points, I'm going to have another rectangle at the top, and then these points. I'm going to join these points. I think I'm going to make my line a little bit, because a little bit darker to be seen. So now these points. This is one. This one. So after doing this, we find out that in the drawing, the heights, this place here, this is our front view. We have height of 13. And we are going to measure 13 across all our y-axis lines. All those lines, this, and this. We're going to measure 13. So now here we measure 13, which is 1 centimeter, 11, 12, 13. I want to do the same thing here also. 13. I want to do the same thing here. Do the same thing here. And also here. So now we now join the points. So now the next thing, as you can see from the side view also, we have length 13 that comes inward from the end edge. Therefore, we are going to measure 13 from here and also from here. As I said earlier, whenever we measure any length given in the y-axis, we are going to measure in all the four corners of the y-axis. If we measure across the width, we are going to measure across the width, be it up or by the two sides. Likewise with the length to have our parallel line. So now we have to measure 13 across from this point here. We put here, have our 13. 1, 2, 3. 13. And I want to measure 13 here also. 13. And then I want to measure 13 across this width also. And then measure 13 across this width. Then we will now join them. Normally, if you are using a board, you can measure just 113 here and then connect it with your D square or your sec square. Go to this one and then connect it. And connect this also. So now this point here, we have 13 here, 13 here, 13 here, and 13 here. As can be seen from the side view, this is 13. This is what we have here. And from the top view, we have this 13 that comes down. From here, we have it here. And from the length, you can see this our 13. And now, what next? Next thing is to draw our cylinder, which is the next most complicated thing to do. The cylinder, as we can see, it lies at the center. As can be seen from the front view, it lies at the center. Therefore, we are going to bisect this line. And from your view, you will see that this cylinder here, it did not go from this edge, start from the point 13 from the top view. We're going to bisect this line into 2, bisect this into 2. You know, the total length is 126. Therefore, we are going to measure 63. So now I will measure 63. This line also, I have measured 13 here, right? 13 here also, right? And then we'll now connect them. These 2 points which are point 13, we'll now connect them like this. So now, I will now bisect this line. I'll measure 63, which is 126 by 2. 63. So now, I can decide to measure the one here, the downside, or I can just use my set square or T square to draw a line, vertical line, which will look like today. Now we have at the base. Now we draw from this point here, we go upward. As we can see, we've divided this line into 2, also this line into 2. So from it, as it can be seen, this height here, given that touch the cylinder, here is what is 13. We can calculate that. Here, this cylinder height is what? The cylinder diameter is 50, and the radius given as 25 times 2, which is 50, that's the diameter. And this 38, it comes from the center of the cylinder down towards this place here. So it's 38. So a cylinder, when we remove 25 from 38, we're going to have 13. That's the height of this place. Now we're going to measure 13 here. We can measure 13 here. It's better because we're going to connect the 2 points. Measure 13 here. 1, 2, 3. Point 13. We'll measure 13 here also. 1, 2, 3. So we'll now connect them. You can use your set square, measure 13 at one side and draw it in your set square 30, 60. It's going to give you a parallel line. If you're using a ruler, you can measure the 2 pieces. Now, from here, I'm going to now measure the total height. We're going to draw a square at the center where we are going to have our cylinder. As we all know, cycle in an isometric should be an ellipse. So now we measure 25 from this end. Measure 25 here, which total is 50. You can measure 50, and then we bisect the 50 into 2, which is 25. So you can just do it simultaneously. So with this, using your 30 degrees, you can choose to measure 25 here also, and then 25, and make it 50. So either way you choose, or you use your set square to just bisect it. So now we measure here 25, and then here we have 50. So our square is going to be from here. I'll have to line going this way. Okay. So now we are going to make this line just to cut through our line. Okay. And the next thing to do is from here, we now measure 25 here, 25 here. So I will get our 50. can now measure 25 here, 25 here. So we can have the square lying at the center. So now from here, let's measure 25. So to make it work faster, you can make use of your compass. Let's take the length here of 25, and then here at center, you just strike an arc here. You see they have the same length. Now it's here at center, make an arc here. Now here at center still, make an arc here. So now you're now going to connect those 2 points. Either way, I'm doing it twice to have a clear understanding of it. You can decide to just cut to one side and then use this set square to drag it upward. It's going to give you the same thing. In the case where you don't have set square, you can use a ruler to do so. So now I have like this. As you can see, we have our cycle with our square at the center. Now the next thing to do is to divide this cycle across the diagonal, that is into 2. Make something like this, and then as you can see, this line is already bisected. This one also bisected, so like this one. From this angle, which is the larger angle, you can either take from here or here, anywhere you wish. But let's take from here. So from here, you will now make, got a line touching this spot, and then come to this also, passing through the center. So now, the next thing is to draw your base of your cylinder, which will be an ellipse. So you put your compass here at center, put it from here, in this place, like this. And you now strike an arc in these 2 wood ends. Everything here is going to be a construction line. So the next thing is to put it here, and then strike an arc touching these 2 points here. So now it's here at center, you connect these points here. And then it's here at center, you connect these points here. Now we've drawn the base of our cylinder. Now the next thing to do is as you can see from where the cylinder comes deep inside, as you can see from the top view. And from the side view, the length is given, which is 38. From this point of 13 to here is 38. This is the total length that between the cylinder comes inward. So we'll now measure 13 across here. 13 across 38, sorry, 38 across here, which is going to be, let me measure it across this point. Here we measure 38. This. Measure our set square. And say degrees. I'm going to make use of this. Why? Because your isometric plane is 30 degrees. So any line we place this and strike it is going to be 30 degrees also. Now we connect these points like this. So the next thing I'm going to measure the same length downward also. I'm going to now measure 38 millimeter, which is 3.8 centimeter. So we use our set square to strike this line here. So now with this one, that's where we are going to have the front side of our cylinder. So now we are now going to bisect this line into 2, bisect this into 2. Since our line is given to the half of 126 is what? So we said earlier is 63. Then we now divide this line into 2 by measuring 63 from one end. So now here is 63. You can use a vertical line, drag it upward. So now if you drag this upward like this, then take this line into 2. And this line is divided into 2, so like this line. I'm going to apply the same method we did here. And then measure 13 here and then strike it. Or if you don't have 30 degrees square, you can strike, make this vertical, so that you measure 13 here and then strike. So now the next thing, I have to measure 13 across this point here. Measure 13 here, 13. Using your 30 degrees, it's like this. Now strike it, passing through 13. So at this point, you now are going to measure your 50 diameter. So now we measure from the point of 13, not at the base, at point 13. So now I've measured 25 here, 25, making what? 50 diameter. The next thing to do is to cut this line into 2. Dividing this, we're going to have something like this, and then we cut this also into 2. So this is the half. I believe it's not visible. It's not visible in the video, but let me make it a little bit more darker. So divide this into 2, yes. Now the next thing is to measure 25 from either side. We measure 25 from this point here. Using the other method, say you use your compass, it's a little bit more faster. Then you measure this length here, which is 25, and then see at the center, you cut an arc here. Then the next thing, come to here, strike an arc, and turn the other way and strike an arc. Now, the next thing to do is to connect those points. Just connect them to have your square. As I've said earlier, you can strike just one arc at the base or at the top and then project it upward using your set square. It's still going to give you the same thing. So now we have our square here in the front. As you can see, this is it. So now we take from the diagonal, we divide this into 2 across the diagonal. So this is the easiest way to draw an ellipse in isometric plane. This is the half of our drawing here, this line. We can take it with this line, this is the half, 25. We'll now connect this bigger angle to this point 25. We connect it, and then the next, now take this and this bigger angle. We will now connect this point. The next thing to do is to do something we did here. From here at the center, we will now make an arc. I'll make an arc here. I'll make an arc. Sorry, it's a little bit faded. Let me make it a little bit more darker. So now the next, you come to these points and also make an arc touching these 2 points. Okay. So now we have it. Come with this point here, you also make an arc here. Then make an arc here. Sorry. Strike an arc. Then these 2 points here. The next thing to do with here at center is strike an arc also here between these 2 points. So now you have the front and back end of your cylinder. You can now connect those 2 points here, tangents to both the 2 cylinders. You may choose to darken this side, but choose to leave it as a construction line until you are done. But this side, it must be construction line because some of the lines will be covered by the common drawings. Now make tangent line touching this. As you can see, we now have our cylinder. The next thing to do is, as you can see from the cylinder, we want to start with things that are the most challenging here. From here, we'll see that there is a curve here at the front view, and the curve is of radius 9, which means diameter 18. And from the end of the curve to this point, we have what 10, and also to the other side, we have 10. So therefore, we are going to have, from the front view, this clearly shows that there is a line from the center that stretches this way. So now I want to draw this, and this thing comes inward, as can be seen from what the top view, this is it here. It can be clearly seen from the top view. From the side view, we have its length given as what 25 from the point 13. Now, we are going to now measure from here again. As I said, we add 10 plus the diameter of this is 18 plus 18 plus 10 is going to give you 38. 38 by 2 is what? 19. So now you bisect this line into 2, having 19 here and also 19 across the left side. Now, I've done this, and as I have earlier said, the length of this, which it comes inward, is given as 25. Now I'm going to measure 25 from one end, either here or here. You can choose to measure from anywhere. So here we will now measure 25 here. 25 is the length. So the next thing to do is to use our 30-60 set square to cut a line, to make a line, which is like this. And then now the next thing is to connect this line. Also, you can use our 30 also to do the same thing here. This 30 is very, very important in isometric drawing. Now make a line between these points, point 25. And then similarly, I'm going to do the same thing to the other one here. So this is it. And this, now take the half, which is the center line here. So now we bisect this to 2. From here, we will now measure 9 here, 9 here, since it is the radius given as it can be seen from the front view here. So now I'm going to measure 9 from this point 9 from here, and also 9 from here. And I'll measure using my 30 degrees also. I will then connect these 2 points, touching the point 25, and also going backward to the base of the drawing. That's the backward base of the drawing. Yeah, yes. Then I will do for the next one also. Connect the points. This. So this is it. So with this, I can be able to get my curve here. So now, the next thing is to also here, we are going to draw another square. How do we do that? We will now, since we already know have our points, we just using your set square will make things easier for us. So you now make a line. Now that's a very long line. All we need is 9 millimeter. And also do the same thing here. So the height we want is just 9 millimeter from the center. So also make another vertical line here going upward. I hope my line is visible. Yes. Now the next thing is to take measure 0.9 here. You can use your compass here. Just measure from this center here to have, from this center here to have, and you will measure, which is going to give you 9 exactly. 9. So take from this point here, from here center, make an arc here, make an arc, and then make an arc downward, make an arc here, and same thing here, make an arc here, make an arc at the top here, you make an arc, also make an arc here. So now you will connect those two points. I'm doing these two squares simultaneously to make the work faster. Then you now connect these points here. Then next thing you will connect those points here also. And then you connect those also. You now connect this also. So now, as we've done earlier, so now the next thing to do is to cut through the diagonal. Yeah? Now cut this across the diagonal like this. Do the same for this one also. As you can see, I'm doing the two squares simultaneously. So now the next thing is to connect these 2 points here at the bigger angle. It's half this one here, and then you connect this the other half here. Let's also do the same thing here. Still do the same thing here. Now the next thing, you take your compass. This is what at the downside. So with here at center, you strike an arc here like this. Drawing a smaller arc is a little bit tedious, but you still manage it. And the next thing, you don't even need to do the line here at the top because you don't need it. What you are interested in is to have a curve. Then with here at center, you connect this point here. Here at center, you connect this point. Sorry, using compass is a little bit challenging, you know. So now strike an arc here. You can choose to darken this because it's going to be visible in your drawing, the front one. Then for the back one, you come here also, center. Your interest only is here alone. You make a small arc. Yes. And then you come here again. You make the bigger arc here. Here at center. You now connect these points here. Okay. So you will now connect those 2 points. Connect them like this. Here you can make a dark line. As now we are going to start making our darker lines. So that way you see where it starts making sense. So now we also do the same thing here. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Let me make this a little bit darker. So now, the next thing is, as we've earlier drawn, we have our 25 here, 25 here. We can now make them visible. So now you make this line visible to be a dark line. The next, you come to this side also, you make it dark. Okay, now you can connect those points also. as you can see, now the drawing starts making sense. So there is a curve here, as you can see from the front view. Here, there is a curve. And the radius of this curve is not given. Therefore, we can assume any radius. Let's take 7 as my favorite number. Now, taking 7. Note, whenever you take a radius across any point, any length, you're going to apply it in all other points because they are what? They are equal. Make 7 here, 7 here also. Here also is strike 7. And then come to this point also. I'm going to make 7 here. You do same thing here, you measure 7. Mind you, you can use your compass to do this, but as we all know, drawing a smaller radius with a compass, it's a little bit challenging. That's why I'm using this. And then I measure 7 here. Okay. Now, the next thing to do is to make this curve. This curve, as you can see, the bigger ones can be connected using the bigger side of our French curve. Connect these 2 points here. You can make it darker because now our lines are going to be visible. All lines, the next line, now start getting darker to make the drawing look, gives more sense. It starts in reality what we are doing. Now you come to this one also. As you can see, this one, it's what has a very small curve. Therefore, you need to find something like this. Don't use the side for this one, as the curve here is going to be very small and it should curve very well. So now, here, this is not the measurement here. I'm going to measure with the down one here. So this one is a mistake. Now I'll measure here 7 here. So now connect these 2 points here with same French curve. So now, after connecting these 2 points, now I will start drawing my lines, my darker lines. Now from here, I will connect those points touching the curve with a dark line. Sorry, my pencil is not that big. If you are using a 2B pencil, you just strike once. It's okay. And then the next thing, I'll join these points here. Like this. Okay. Now the next thing to do is to now connect these points also. Shift this here. Now connect this. As you can see from the side view, this line here, the inner one is not going down. Stop at here, the point 13. Now connect it to point 13. Here, connecting this point here. This one. So my pencil keeps on breaking. Sorry. A little bit of distraction that we're having in the class. So now here is connected to what? The base of the drawing. So now we make this here darker. And then the pencil keeps on breaking. Sorry. So now we connect these 2 points also. As I said earlier, if you're using 2B pencil, you can just connect once and it will be okay. It will be very, very more faster. So now you connect these points also. Make it darker. Make this one darker also. Then you can make this darker. Then let's make our ellipse more darker here. The reason why I'm not doing it dark, although I know how it's going to be, but for the sake of explanation, to make clear view, when drawing isometric, we don't just make all the lines dark at the early stage because some of the lines will be covered. Sorry that my compass is fluctuating. So now also make this darker. Why? Because this is going to be visible. But our second ellipse, that is the base of the cylinder, is not going to be all dark because not all the sides will be viewed. So now the next thing to do is to also connect this line here and stop where it touches the cylinder. This point will now connect it here. Wherever it touches the cylinder, we stop there. Ideally, it's supposed to be passed to touch through this line, but the part of the cylinder is covering. Sorry for the mistake. Now we stop at here. Cylinder comes a little bit outside. Now the next thing to do here is to, there's a line that comes down from here, this line, and the length of this line is not given. But as you can see here, from here to the center of this cycle, this hole is 25, and the distance, the difference is a little bit. We can take it around 23. Yes. Now for this one, you are going to draw a vertical line touching the cylinder. For this one, we don't have issue with this one because it is what, inward. Let's take a line here touching the cylinder. You can make it darker because it's going to be what, it's going to be seen in the drawing. Then come to this one and still do the same thing, but in this case you are going to not take it to the end. You just measure something around 23 like this. 23, it's be okay. So now this is it. The next thing is to draw a cylinder that connects these 2 points, but for simplicity, normally we are going to have to draw another square to make a perfect ellipse here, but there is another way where we can connect the 2 cylinders together using a French curve. Using a French curve, you can connect these 2 points like this. So if you take this like this and connect it, you see you have your curve here. This can be seen from the front view. So now, this now you will now complete the drawing of your cylinder. Before then, let me connect this line here. You make it tangent to this point here. Now connect it. Tangent. So now you have your point here. Now the next thing, as you can see, we have another hole of 38 diameter inside here. Ideally, we are going to have to draw another square inside to make our cylinder. So we can do that a little bit fast mode. So now you are going to measure 38 by 2 is what? Is 19. So you measure 19 here, 19 here also, and then from the upper side here, you are going to do the same thing. Measure 19 here, 19 here, and then here also you divide this line into 2. But there is a more easier way to do so, which will not take our time. We can just put a front curve because I've tested it and it worked. Centralize this front curve here like this, the bigger one, and then strike your ellipse. It worked. So you can just do it to save time. But if you still have enough time, you can do the same method as we did to have your ellipse. So here it is. So now the next thing is to take a line of this length, take it backward, because as we can see from the diagram given here, this line goes inward, touching the point 13. So now we are going to measure 25. The easier way to do that, we just take this line, since it's going to be parallel to this line, we just track it downward. We make a construction line downward. So here, any line we drew touching these 2 points, that is parallel to at the starting line, is going to be 25. So now I will do this. Connect this point to have 25 right here. Now, next thing is, let me make it a little bit darker. The pencil is too thin, light, so it's not good for the job that very well. But if you're using 2B pencil, you just strike once, it's okay. So now I'm going to make this darker also. So now you know the reason behind why I did not do the inner cylinder darker at the beginning, because not all part of the cylinder will be, base of the cylinder will be shown, as some of the drawing will cover it. So now I'll make this point darker here, and then put here at center. So yes, at center, and then connect the points here. I just make these points darker. Anyway, it touches this line, I'm going to stop there. So now I have my cylinder and everything. The next thing is to connect this point touching here. Oh, sorry. Okay. I connect this point like this, touching the cylinder. So nice. We are drawn with our cylinder. Now, as it is being given, the drawing remain. The final thing we have here is this hose. We have 18 diameter hose, 4 holes. Here is what, as you can see from the front view, and you can see 2 from the top view with lights at here. So now, the distance between here and here is given as 25. And we're going to measure from here to here 25. That this edge here, not from this curvature, from this edge here, we measure 25. And this one also measure 25, and then we connect it at our center line. So now we're going to measure 25 here, and then measure 25 here, so 25. So now connect them. So now, the next thing to do, as you can see, as it's been given here, it comes inward at what? 19 millimeter. So I'll now measure 19 millimeter across this line here. I'll do the same on the other side, 19 millimeter. Here is 19. I'll do the same thing here. We'll measure 19 millimeter here. As you can see, it enters through the drawing. I could have done it first before I do this. I chose to do it so that we just have only the points that we need to, the curve that we need, and letting the rest. So now with this, I will divide this line into 2, or I'll just take it upward. So this is our center line to our center line here. This is it. And then also with this one, I can have my center line here. Strike it here from our point 19. Yeah, we have it here. And the next thing, so the diameter of the hole, each hole is given as what? It's given as 18. Therefore, the radius is 9. So we are going to measure 9 across the horizontal and the vertical. So now we measure 9 millimeter here. We are going to do the same thing here, 9 millimeter. Likewise, we are going to do the same thing upward, 9 millimeter, up and down. So now it's my 9 millimeter upward, and then my 9 millimeter downward. So I want to do the same thing here also. Measure my 9 millimeter downward, and measure my 9 millimeter upward. And then by the sides also, I'm going to do the same thing. 9 millimeter across the left, and also 9 millimeter on the right. Now you make your cycle here. To the cycle, to do your square, not cycle. Just on this point here, just take a line, and a line here, vertical, take a line, vertical, and do for this one also. Here, draw a vertical line upward, draw a vertical line passing through this upward. So now, by having many lines, so you have to concentrate in order not to get distracted with the lines drawing. Now you connect this also passing through the line here, and then you do the same thing for this one also. Connect it, and then you come to this point here, connect this point here, and then you connect this point here. As you can see, you have your square from the two sides. We are going to use the same method to do that. We divide this across the diagonal, divide this into 2, and then you join the opposite line to the half. Just cut through this. You can see I use same method like this, and then you connect this point with this angle. The next thing, you go to the other side and do the same thing. Okay, same thing here. I'm going to connect this to this point. And now make use of your here. Connect these 2 points. This is a small radius. It's very hard to draw a small radius. Very challenging. So you are going to manage it. So you position these 2 points here like this. Now the next thing, come across here and do the same thing. Connect these 2 points. Shit. So it's a mistake here. The paper got turned down, but it's no problem. Second tutorial. Okay. So now you connect these 2 points. So now this is center. You now connect the remaining points here. Okay. Here also you are going to do the same thing here. Now you have your square. When you come to this place, you are going to be mindful. I don't draw my diagonal line here. I'm going to use it. So now I'm going to make it as a diagonal line here, connecting these 2 points here. So with this, I can have my points here. You can see clearly. Yeah, just connect these 2 points here. As I said, drawing smaller radius is very, very challenging, but we managed to do it anyway. So now it's here at center. you are to join these 2 points with this one, but the drawing is currently take from here. Anyway, you touch the drawing here, you stop because it must not pass through. So that is it. And then it's here also. You start from this point. When you touch this drawing, you watch, just leave it there. So that is it. This is the only part of the hole that will be visible. The next thing, you are now going to draw the next hole, which is at the base. At the base, as you can see from the top view, it's also the same thing. 25 from here to here as given from here, and then 19 from here to here as it is from here. So hopefully we can all see it. So now I will measure 25 across this length. 25, just like this. This is my 25. Then I will strike a line like this. Strike a line. And the next thing is to measure 19 inward. From this line, I measure 19 here. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. I'll measure 19 here also. 19. So here it is. Now I'm going to strike it also. You can see I have not used the 45, 45, 90. I've been using 30, 60 set square, but it's okay for this job. And cut this into 2. And then do the same thing for this one also. I will cut this also into 2. So after doing this, from each end I will measure 9 from all sides. Why? Because the diameter of the hole is given as 18 and the radius is going to be 9. Therefore I will measure 9 to the left, measure 9 to the right. Also I will measure 9 also across the width here. Measure 9 also here. Here it is. And I'll do the same thing here. Measure 9 here. Measure 9 here. And I'm gonna measure 9 here. Measure 9 here. So now I'm going to take them upward. Now make a line here to an arbitrary point. All we are interested is the 9 up and down making 18. That is to have a square of sides 18 millimeter. So now the same thing I will do here. As you can see, those lines are double, so I'm doing them simultaneously, like I did for the curve at the top. So making this simultaneously also. And the next thing is to cut across here, through here, like this, and then make something like this also. And do similar thing here. Cut through this, then cut through this. Now I have my square at the base. So now what next? I'm going to bisect this across the diagonal with the same thing I did. Just bisect it, and then I'll do the same thing for this one also. Bisect this across the diagonal. Here it is. Sorry, mistake here. Here it is. Now let me connect. The obtuse always use the bigger angle. The smaller angle is only used for the diagonal, and use the bigger angle to connect between the angle and half of the square across both sides. So now I'm using only the bigger angle to do this straight line, pass it through the center of the square. And the next thing I will join these points here also. Then the next thing I'll do this one also. So now, using my compass, do the same thing I did previously to draw a curve here of a very small radius. So you can see it is very, very challenging to do a small curve. That is it. And then come to this side also. Cross here. I'm going to do the same thing. Then make a bigger one here. At this point, we connect this 2 points also. Okay, I want to do the same thing here. Okay. Do the same thing here. thing here. And connect this point here. Connect this point here. So here it is. Now, ideally, when I have our holes at the top, ideally you're going to have the same square at the base also. So that's the same method we did here. So when you make the ellipse at the base, it's going to cut through this center and also this one also. Same with this one. But to make the work faster, you can just come here and strike across close to the middle here. You can choose to use your French curve. Just make a curve here like this. A small curve like this. This will show that this is a hole. It passes through like this. You can come and do the same thing also here. As you can see, this cannot go inside. You just have to have it like a half here. Just leave it like this. This is indicating that it penetrates inward. Same thing for this one. Come across here. You will cut this line like this, and then do the same thing for this one. But if you can, using the method we did here, you can decide to go on and make the square. And make the square here. Not the square, sorry, the ellipse here. Now, draw it. Okay. Now, the next thing to do is what's needed now is just one thing. As we can see here, on the base, there is this certain height here. This height, so that's from the front view, of 13 millimeter. From the side view, you can see where it comes from this point 13 inward, touching this line here, as you can see. And from the top view, the size, as the width of the line here we have is 15. So now, I'm going to go on and do it. How am I going to do it? As you can see, the baseline here we have, which is here, we've already divided it into 2, taking it upward. Now, we're going to divide this into 2 also. So since this is divided, you can just use this to cut across it from here, because the line here is divided into 2. Just strike here before you divide this into 2. You see that here will be 63 and 63. Or you can try to measure from here 63, and then strike it. And now, since the width is given as 15 here, we are going to measure 7.5 here, to have what? 16. So 15, sorry. So now I'm going to measure 7.5 here. So if I take it here is my 1. There is 0.5, 0.7, and then 7.5 here. Do the same thing to the left. There is my 0.5, 6, 7, and then half here. Make it here. So I will still use the same method to strike backward here and divide here. So as you can see, this line here, I'm going to make it dark because it will be visible. We can see it. Yes. Then the vertical line, just extend it. It's going to be 13 also, just touching the cylinder. And now just extend this line, going upward, touching the cylinder. Here it is. So now the next thing to do is to also draw a line here. Now from this line here at the top here, as you can see, I also draw a line here. It comes here, and also bisect it into 2. I will measure the same 15 here, and then touch this point here. So now I will measure from this center here. I will measure 15. That is, sorry, 7.5. Since the total width is 15, I'm going to measure 7.5. Now I take here 5, 6, 7.5. Then 0.5, 6, 7, and then 7.5 here. So now this, in the cylinder, I can now connect the 2 points here. Touching the cylinder. I'll now connect it here like this. Here it is. And then connect this one, as this can also be seen. So this is it, the end of the drawing. Now we have everything intact. Let me just make some little amendments here. Let's reduce the darkness of this as only this side that is visible. As you can see, because my pencil is too thin, the lines are not that very dark. And as I have said earlier, if you use a 2B pencil, it's going to be more darker, more visible. Sorry, one thing here, we'll not join this line here. It will be final thing for us to do, and also connect this line here, as it can be seen here. This one from the side view here, front view, and here we can also see it. And now connect them. Now let me make all the connections. constant. Touches the point here, and now stop it here. And then from here there is no any touching points. So this is it. I, Zugo, who made this with the sponsor of CoLangs Academic Committee, Art of Computer Engineering, with the help of my friend David, who videoed this and helped to video equipment. This has been able to be brought to you guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you.